or jungle.
Press call for Wicked, which is a real treat for us all. And on behalf of the London producers, I'm sorry they couldn't be here, but they're opening another show, I think, so you've just got me. Somebody said to me, why Wicked again 3 years later? And the truthful answer is because Manila and the Philippines deserve Wicked again after 3 years. When we were here in January 14, the show played to 99% capacity. And there were many people that didn't actually get to see it. And so when the international tour was mooted, we grabbed it as quickly as we could so we could do a period of time in this wonderful city. And if further emphasis on why we wanted to bring it back was needed, on the last night of, I think the last show at the CCP, over 500 people gathered outside to serenade the cast, which is I've never seen it before. It was equivalent to Elvis's last departure. So I would like to thank everybody in the Philippines who came and is coming to this wonderful show for their support, which is totally appreciated. I always start off a press call actually by thanking you, the journalists. And I can tell you, we do shows everywhere in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, South Africa, Singapore and Hong Kong, but you are the best. So will you give yourselves a round of applause? You ask the most interesting questions, you support us so readily, whether it's on the radio, whether it's blogs, or whether it's social media, or whether it's the newspapers, and genuinely, we could not do this without you. And so, from all of us at Concertus and Ticket World, thank you so very, very much. Now, I'm going to hand over to Lee Constantine, who is the resident director, who is the person that makes all these wonderful, talented actors and actresses do the right thing. And she rules with a rod of iron, I can tell you.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Wicked International's Press Afternoon. This afternoon we're going to have two production numbers for you. The first is a big dance number with lots of singing and dancing and lots of beautiful costumes for you to see. And we also have a duet for good with our two leading ladies as well. After each number, we'll give you some time to take some static photographs as well, so you get lots of opportunity to video and also photograph the numbers as well. We're going to start with the number One Short Day, which is a large production number with lots of singing and dancing. So we recommend wide-angle shots for our number this today. So without further ado, we'd like to introduce the company of Wicked International and the number One Short Day.
One short day in the Emerald City. One short day in the Emerald City. Emerald City. One short day in the Emerald City. One short day, oh, there's so much to do. It's all red and it's all green. I think we found the place where we belong. I want to be in this white line. So I'll be back for good someday to make my life and make my way. But for today, we'll wander and enjoy. One short day in the Emerald City. One short day to have a lifetime of fun. One short day. City. Now that we're in here, you'll know we've been here before we are done. Who's the mage? Who's stage? Itinerary is making all us merry. Who's the sage? Who's sage? Serving to save our posterity. Who's infused for what's ever living, as all of us are living.
Thank you very much, the cast of Wicked. We just invite them to leave the stage for a second while we set out for some photographs.
Musicians in Manila. And we have wonderful sponsors for this, and for the first time we actually have Globe, which is the biggest telecom here, and it's thrilling to have them as our new partner. We have Diamond Hotel, who've sponsored us and helped us for many times. OSCL, the freight containers, that's how it got here. And we have Novo Hair, which I might be using, hair product, I think I'm going to be probably going for that. And we have Visa, so a real smorgasbord of great sponsors without which we couldn't make this happen. Now, Lee, I want to know, as they want to know, why this production is different to the one 3 years ago. Because I know, because we've discussed it a number of times, that there are a number of key reasons. And a bit about the cast.
Yes, indeed. We are actually the full UK production. So we are the same production as you would see in the West End and also on Broadway. It's not been scaled down at all for the tour. In fact, actually, we go into 13 trucks and 18 containers just to bring this show around the world. And it takes 5 weeks to ship all of this that you can see on the stage with us out to each of our venues for the quick turnaround. We are a full production, so there's no changes from anything you would see in any other productions around the world. However, when the new international tour was first talked about, the original creators, Joe Mantello and Wayne Cilento, were very keen to make sure this was the freshest and newest production anywhere in the world. So they actually sat down together and took some time to really look at the piece afresh with new eyes and see if there was anything else they wanted to help to keep the story as fresh and as new as possible. So what we actually have is we have some new choreography that Wayne Cilento, our choreographer, specifically designed just for this show alone. So we're the only production around the world that has new and specialist choreography. Joe Mantello sat down and made sure that the story today is as fresh and as new as it was when it was first created over 13 years ago. So it's always as up-to-date as possible without actually changing the story that everyone knows and loves.
So didn't you tell me you were going to buy dinner for the person from the press who comes to the show who spots all the changes?
Yes, we could try that one out. So good luck with that one, and I'll see some of you later. But we're also very lucky that we have the most up-to-date flying system that's actually possible at all around the world at the moment. So our production is the only production worldwide that has extra flying monkeys and extra other things. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, but we have more flying in this production than any production around the world. So we're very proud of our production values. We also have the most up-to-date sound system as well, so we're able, for this particular company, 3,000 people applied for this show alone, which is actually a third of every single performer in the entire UK that are listed in Spotlight. Spotlight's our directory for all of the performers in the UK, and it has over 10,000 members, and 3,000 people alone applied for this job. And so, and we have 31 members of the company on the stage. As you see, we had the choice and the absolute pick of everybody we could possibly want.
Then if you break that down, because a lot of the people in Spotlight, and I know because I used to be in Spotlight many years ago, they're sort of, it could be 35 upwards. So if you take all those out, up to sort of 80, like Judy Dench or somebody, they're not going to be in this. So you work out there's probably only about 4,500 that could have auditioned, and you had 3,000 apply. That's amazing.
Absolutely. As you will have already seen from the performance this afternoon, our performers are highly skilled in our triple threats, acting, singing and dancing, but especially as you can see from Wendy Talento's choreography, that it's highly specialised, and the contemporary dancing and the skills required for our performers, especially our dancers, is out of this world. We're so lucky to have such highly skilled performers performing with us, as you can see from the performance you saw today.
So tell me about the two principals.
Our two principals? Oh, we are so lucky. You're going to meet them again in a minute. We have the most fantastic leading ladies. They have the most phenomenal voices, and they inhabit the characters so beautifully in the stage. There's something about Wicked that grabs everybody. It's a story of friendship, a friendship between two women, which is also something which isn't often portrayed in the media. And it's just...
It wasn't on Chicago, was it? That wasn't friendship, if anyone's seen Chicago.
No, absolutely not. That's much more about murder, but never mind. Yes, so it's, so it's a story of friendship, and we're lucky that our two beautiful leading ladies, Jacqueline and Carly, are both wonderful friends off stage as well, and it really shows in the performance that you get to see at night how loved and supported everyone is on the stage. So, we're exceptionally lucky. Our principals were supremely talented, as you can tell. We had the absolute pick of everybody and anybody we could possibly want. So we're very proud of our company.
And I love walking backstage and looking at the costumes. As a producer, I go, oh my God, they're so expensive, because we hate spending money, as you know, because it hurts. But walking around, I used to think Phantom of the Opera had the most beautiful costumes, which they truly do, but these surpass them in some way, just because they're more modern, but the fabrics they're using. Who's been backstage and looked at the costumes when we did it last time? Very few of you, so you've got a treat coming up, probably.
Oh yes. Well, we're going to take you around what we call our wardrobe village, which is where all of our costumes live. We have over 350 costumes in this show, over 150 pairs of shoes, and about 150 wigs as well alone. That's all to couture, so you can imagine how many trucks that takes up with this. But the costume design was a huge part of the success of this show, and great care was taken to, with all of the details in the costume. As you see when you get backstage, what you can see from the auditorium is impressive enough, but when you actually get up close to the costumes, you can really see the detail. There is no expense spared. A lot of the fabrics are specially made just for Wicked alone. So some of the fabric is sourced around the world purely for Wicked only. And so when you get up close, you'll be able to see just the actual quality and the care and attention to detail. As you can see with Wicked, there's an interest interesting design side of Wicked, that everything is just a little bit off kilter. Everything's just a little
Like
bit
the producers.
And yeah, so it's the design of it, as you may see on the clock face behind us earlier, there's actually 13 hours on the clock face, and absolutely everything is just a little bit off tilt, including things like Glinda's tiara doesn't actually sit square on her head, and that is absolutely and critically on purpose, to make everything just seem just a little bit unreal and surreal. And all of the costumes as well, every single costume on this stage is asymmetrical. So all of this stuff is cut on the curve, on the bias. You'll see one sleeve is always different from another sleeve. And again, this attention to detail is something that really makes Wicked stand out from the crowd.
So as resident director, what's the hardest thing about your job? I've never asked a resident director that. I thought it was just dealing with producers, but apparently it's not.
Actually, I love my job. I don't find there's anything too difficult. Probably apart from having to stand here right now is probably one of the hardest things I have to do. But I'm very lucky that my job is actually to sit out where you guys are most of the time, out in the auditorium, and just make sure that the experience that the audience get is the top it can possibly be at any time. So it's my job to sit out front and really just get to see that all the lights and the sound and the performers are all working together to produce the story in the best possible way. It's always our goal to make sure that every single audience member feels that we are performing this show for the first time and just for them. So it never becomes commonplace, it never just becomes another one of the 8 shows a week. Every single time we want to make sure that the audience know that we're telling the story for the first time. And that's the secret to making sure that the audience really enjoy the story and get carried along with it.
And talking of experience, they're ready.
Oh, they're fantastic. Well, in which case, with no further ado, we'd like to introduce our 2 leading ladies as they sing the beautiful duet, For Good. Lovely, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you our alpha, Miss Jacqueline Hughes, and our Glinda, Miss Carly Anderson. I'd just like to invite you to have the opportunity to take a couple of more photographs if you'd like.
Quickly, in 30 seconds each, 2 great shows we're bringing to the Philippines after Wicked. West Side Story, direct from America, comes here on the 10th of August, and it is probably the most, you've seen West Side Story, it's the most beautiful, moving story based on Romeo and Juliet, with the most incredible music of all time, and I think still the greatest dance musical, excluding this obviously, but I urge you to come and see that. And then, if things can things get better, I ask myself? Yes, they can, because on the 3rd of October we bring the London Palladium production of The Sound of Music. So we're following this wonderful show with 2 incredible shows, and we've another 6 in the pipeline after that. So I'm not going to tell you about those, but come to the others. See you later. Thank you very, very much.
Lovely, thank you very much. We look forward to talking to you all again about various other bits of Wicked, but for now I'd like to hand over to Anthony Field, our company manager, over there. Thank you very much. Thank you, see you later.
Just move.
Hi there. Hello.
Keep going
I'll
through.
stand up here. Is that all right? Can you all see me?
Pop around here.
Hold on. There we go. Marvellous. Hi guys. Welcome. So everyone, Marvellous. Standing on our flooring that we currently bring in on 18 shipping containers at the moment. It takes quite a lot. If we wanted to hire an aeroplane, we'd have to hire 3 to get Wicked out here. So instead, we bring it in on 18 shipping containers. The reason is we put down a floor print with our set that you're currently standing on. So the Solaire Theatre is actually somewhere over there. Everything you're currently standing on, we bring with us. And this includes all the flying pieces above you, all the set pieces, all the costumes, all the backdrops, and all the wooden decking. It currently takes us 4 to 5 days to get the set in, unloaded, to put up all the lights, to rig all the automation, to get everything in situ ready for then on the last day, which was in fact yesterday. We bring the 31 members of the acting company in, we have a big dress rehearsal, and then we get ready to open as we did last night. When we come into every venue, like we've done here in Manila, we like to ask for local help, and we have 12 wardrobe dressers with us who are local staff who help all the actors get changed into costume. And on top of the 12 wardrobe staff, we also have about 20 stage crew as well who help with all the scene changes that if you've seen the show before or for today, help move all the scenic pieces around. All of that process to teach those guys takes about 2 days. And then we bed everything in over a couple of days to get everybody used to it. And it's amazing because it helps us get to know your amazing city here in Manila by sharing local information. And it's great to work with those guys who help us, show us the ropes of how this theatre works. With us on the road, we currently have 71 members of staff. So we might only have 31 actors with the company, but we have with it a fully functioning production department. Get ready for each production, and we did the same back in London before we then started in the United Kingdom. So far we've been out to Singapore, Hong Kong, and now yourselves, where we'll do 7 weeks before continuing on into mainland China. So we've only just begun in Manila, so if there's any top tips you can give me on the way through about your amazing city, that would be really brilliant to know. Each of the costumes that you're about to see in a moment currently take 4 to 5 weeks to produce from scratch. On top of that, the wigs that you've seen on the actors, they take 4 months to make. Each wig takes 4 months. Could I ask, anybody got any guesses on what particularly our most expensive costume might be? It's always a good question to get people talking. Any ideas for those of you who've seen the show? Her black dress. That's very close, in fact. The fabric is about, I'd say it was, let me get this right, it's about 100,000 pesos, I think, if I've done my currency right, per metre, because it's hand-stitched in Paris, and the fabrics are sourced from India, so it's quite an expensive outfit. Our dress that you saw today, that Glinda was wearing, her bubble dress, is pretty incredible, that outfit. Not only is it actually very heavy for Carly, who plays Glinda, it's between 10 to 15 kilograms because it's fitted with a safety harness for when she rides the bubble. But each petal is hand-stitched and handcrafted, and it's covered in thousands of sequins that give it that special sparkle and sheen that you saw. Back in London, we have a chap called Jeff, and Jeff's whole job is to take care of that one dress. Jeff spends about 3 or 4 days a week just sewing those petals and the sequins back on. Occasionally we let him out for a cigarette, but he mostly spends all that time working on that. It's an absolute labour of love. And that's something that all of us who are involved in the show are able to bring, because we love it. It's a great community, it's a great family, something that I've been involved with for like 8 years with this show, so it's lovely to be able to continue and bring it out here. So what I'd like to invite you to do now that we've cleared that wing as well, is I'm just going to walk you across the stage, and in doing so I'd like you to have a look up and you can see some of our lights and our flying pieces, and also you can tell all the scenic pieces here up in the air. You can see during the show, they get brought in where they are, they get put in these tracks which are underneath your feet, and they then get taken on stage and off stage through automation, a mixture of automation and slightly old school push and pull with the crew, which is brilliant. So we'll take a stroll over to stage right, and then once we finish that, I'll have a walk through Wardrobe Village and see the costumes. If I carefully get down here. Very, very first thing that might get fitted up in this whole set, out of everything, lights and staging and sound and the band and everything. What do you think might be the very first thing to come in off the truck? Truck container number one. What's that? Shout outs. Come on.
The frame.
The frame. Close.
Dragon?
In one. Absolutely. The dragon. The dragon that's currently at the top of the frost, just behind this cloth, gets brought in while the orchestra pit is raised. Gets put over the orchestra pit, taken up into the air, and we're then able to drop the orchestra pit to then set up the full band, which we're very lucky to be able to tour. On top of that, then all the floor comes in underneath you and gets locked together a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle, and as that's layered in, then our flown pieces start to go out into the air, along with the lights as well and the smoke. The bubble itself is a huge piece of metal truss that's kind of just hidden out of the way, and the bubble's able to transport Glinda all the way from stage left and stage right, which you can see as we walk underneath. So I'd like you to step this way into this wing, and you can as we said before, Paris and Asia, and some of the fabrics also come from India as well. So it's a kind of quite a far-reaching brand project. I think at the moment we've only got about 4 Wickeds worldwide. When I started about 3 years ago, we had about 13, and they've slowly just naturally come to an end on each season. So it's brilliant. We have this version, the West End version, the Broadway version, and the American tour. Something we're quite proud of is, did any of you see Wicked a couple of years ago when it came into Manila?
Yes.
That was with the Australian company, wasn't it? We were very lucky recently to work with the original United States creatives on this British production. And they've worked with us to put in some new scenes. So this Wicked that we're bringing in has some great new elements to it that you wouldn't have seen before if you're a particularly die-hard Wicked fan. And that's why we love to encourage everybody to come back, because whilst it's very much still the same show as you would have seen today, we've got some new stuff in it as well. So if you've got any loyal fans out there, do come along, because hopefully you'll get rewarded with some new exciting things.
What are the new production numbers?
The new production, I can't tell it because you were waiting. So you have to come along and see it.
How
But
many new production numbers?
we've got about 3 or 4 new bits during the show. I say that 3 or 4 depending on, because it's a couple of the dance numbers have been adapted. But yeah, we've got some new stuff, so come along and see it. I'd love to take you through now into Wardrobe Village. I'd ask you very kindly, due to the fact we're set up ready for tonight's show, just if I could ask you to avoid touching anything. You're more than welcome to photograph and video anything, but just if I could hold off any hands-on touching, just because we need everything to be in the right place, of course, ready for this evening, ready for the cast to get in. So follow me and have a wander through Wardrobe Village and have a look. And please ask me any questions on the way. Okay, well, what I might do now is the costume, they're very similar over that side as well than we are here. So I'll walk us back onto stage now, head round, and then would any of you be staying to meet our principal cast members and do some interviews?
Yep.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, well, I've just had a heads up just before we started this. They've all arrived and they're all in position, so I can take you straight out front and we can get going on interviews. That'd be good? Yeah, okay, amazing. Follow me back.
You relate to your character, Glinda?
In many ways, some which I probably won't wish to share, but she's a wonderful character to play. She's extremely complex, and as perfect as she may appear, she's very flawed, and I think that's why audiences fall in love with her. She isn't perfect, and she's very ambitious, which is definitely something I share with her, and probably a love of shoes. I think this story of friendship and love that Wicked tells is relatable worldwide. It's something which appeals to all demographics, no matter where you're from in the world, no matter what age you are, what nationality you are, I think everybody can get on board with the story because the themes are so universal. It's a theme of love and friendship, and I think that's something that everybody can share. Yes, Mr. Anthony, yes. Yes, there are a lot of a good few attempts, but they're so choreographed, these quick changes, and my incredible dresser Jade is my lifeline. I wouldn't be able to look anywhere near as good I do on stage without her, so I can only thank her for that. But the quick changes are amazing. I really enjoy doing them. They're really exciting, and you have to make sure that you're on top form in order to get that next costume on and off. So my quickest one actually is 15 seconds, and that's out of my lovely Shiz costume into Emerald City. Oh, plenty of times, yeah. Zips get caught and things don't come off, but you always make it always happens, so. Did I ever, read the book? Yes. When I was younger, when Wicked first came out in the West End, I was studying at college, and yes, I read the Gregory Maguire novel. And then when I was offered this job, I revisited it and also revisited The Wizard of Oz and a few of other Frank Graham's novels. He also wrote some ones particularly about Glinda. So I studied quite a lot, and the book is very different and it's extremely dark, and there are definitely elements of that darkness in the show. There's, this isn't a fluffy show. There's a lot of pink and pretty things, but it's very dark. You just look at that picture and you immediately get a sense of evil and darkness, and that's definitely something that the show has taken from the Gregory Maguire novel. Out of my head and hope that it was the right decision they made. No, it's a role I've dreamed of playing for a very long time, and there were obviously, there was a lot of competition, and there is in any job, and yeah, I can only thank that I must have done something right in there, and I must have done something that they liked. So I'm just chuffed to bits that I'm here.
Do you have any rituals you do before performing?
Rituals. Yeah. I have to make sure I go to the toilet because that bubble dress is quite hard to get out of, and it's quite a busy show. So if I need to go to the toilet at any point, it can be a bit of a hassle. So I always make sure I go to the toilet. I always have some kind of, whether it's like a mint or like a little cough sweet, or sometimes I have little paper cow sachets, things like that. But nothing, I'm not one of those crazy people who like has to do something or something's going to go wrong. I'm not like that, It's I haven't developed any of those crazy rituals yet. I might in my later years. I use this oil, this Shumera oil, cleansing oil. It's the best, I swear by it. I've used it for years now. And more recently I've started using Clarisonic. It's really, really great. Jackie uses it as well on her skin. It's just great for really, really cleaning it. I'll use that only like a few times a week though. And just moisturise, drink lots of water. I mean, that is more helpful than anything. Any product, just drink loads and loads of water.
What can you advise to all the future Glindas in the next productions?
What can I advise? Make it your own. Don't copy anybody else. Be true to the character, but also be true to yourself. And take what you have from your own experience in your own life and bring that to the character. And you will immediately have your own Glinda and not a copy of anybody else's.
We knew you already toured other countries, but how are you looking forward and performing more here in Manila? And how did you think the audiences of Manila would differ from the other audiences on the other countries that you visited?
I think one of the main differences I think I feel here anyway is just there's a lot of love for musical theatre in the Philippines, and I think that stems back from Lea Salonga and everybody idolising her when she played in the Saigon, and there's much more of a buzz and excitement than I've had in some of the other cities we visited about musicals in general, but particularly this one. And but yeah, we're just looking forward to running the show here and also visiting. I'm going on holiday actually in the Philippines after Urban here, which I'm really looking forward to. So heading down to El Nido and doing some of the islands in Palawan and stuff. So I can't wait to see it because a few of my friends actually went before, and it's a beautiful country. It's a wonderful place to live in.
Is Lea Salonga one of her influences?
This is the last question.
This is the last question. I wouldn't necessarily say for me in particular, however, Miss Saigon was the first musical I ever saw, first production, and I saw the UK tour of Miss Saigon, and that was definitely one of the first shows that made me want to be in musical theatre. She is wonderful, and I think many people idolise her, and